Welcome to our video tutorial over creating subpages and subpages. So if you look at our website that we've started for you, when you toggle over the science tab, or the science page rather, these are the pages listed at the top here. Those are called pages. These drop down menus are called sub pages, and these that show up to the right are called sub pages. So this is important because it sort of organizes our content that's within our website, making it easier for parents to navigate through. So we've got our resources in sub pages instead of all on one page, because we know that we typically teach one or two standards at a time, and that just makes it easier for us to find. So if you click on our first one is S701 classification. When we click here, I have the standard listed, and then I also have these resources down at the bottom. So this is what we're creating on your site. So when you log in to your education.weebly.com, once you log in and find your page, you should see something like this set up. This has already been set up for you. It defaults and brings you to the Build tab. To add pages, subpages, and subpages, you will need to click on the Pages tab at the top. Now here it lists all of our pages. We only have a few here. We have Team Calendar, all of the content, and then our helpful links or helpful logins page. So in order to bring something as a subpage, you'll do the same thing that you do for the regular pages. You'll find your plus sign, you'll click there. You'll need to click a standard page for this, and we're going to do resources first. So you'll type in resources. Mine shows up here only because I've typed it in here before. All of these settings you'll keep the exact same. You'll click Save. Now it will default and bring it to a regular page and add it at the end of our last page, helpful logins that we have here. In order to make it a sub page, like the directions say down here, reorder them left and right to create sub pages. So we will click on our resources page, drag it underneath science, and indent a little. So if you notice there's a slight indentation here, and that means that we've just created your first sub page. Now to do sub pages, to add our all of our standards, we'll need to do the same thing. You click your plus sign, you click standard page, you type in S7L1 classification. Now this is important to add in a title next to your standard only because our parents may not be familiar with your standards like your students are. Your students should know which standards you're working on. However, your parents may be a little bit confused about that. So put in a title here, click Save. Now again, your default brings it over to the side next to helpful logins. So you'll need to again click and drag, but we'll need another indentation this time because we don't want it to show underneath resources. We want it to be a sub page of resources. Now as we're checking it here, it looks like this has worked just fine. The quickest way to add all of these is to type them all in at once, and then you can reorder them after you have typed them. So I will go ahead and add all of them the same way. We have S7L2, which is sales. Click our plus standard. S7L3, which for me is genetics. Save. We'll do a plus sign, standard page. S7L4, which is our interdependence of organisms here. Plus sign, standard. S7L5 is our evolution, standard. Save. So now here we have all of them typed in, but they are not in the correct place, so we will click and drag. Now you've got to be careful about placing it there, and it has done this for me. This is one of the stubborn parts of Weebly. If you can see that it didn't quite drag it where we needed it to go, and every time I click it brings me to that other page. So here's what you do if this happens, and it will likely happen. You click the refresh button. You click back to pages. Again, it defaults on the build tab. You'll click back to pages, and if you notice that it's still back where we left it, you've got to try it again here. There we go. Now I notice that if you try to do this too quickly, it will not work like it did a second ago. So we're moving them all where they should go. And here we go. So when we test it, we will slide over resources and all of our sub pages pull up here. So just notice that you've got the indentation here. When you're adding your contact sub page, you'll do the same thing. We'll do the plus sign, standard page, contact, save. And now this we want to be under the resources tab as a sub page, not as a sub page. It wouldn't make sense for us to put our contact there. So we will click and drag, but we'll want it to be not indented as much. And see there, it's being a little bit stubborn for me. There we go. So now we hover over science and we have resources and we have contact. Now when you click on the resources, if you click back to build, what we want to do is add in some buttons. If you notice on mine, I just switched back over to mine. Sometimes parents will click directly on the resources instead of clicking over here. They'll just click here instead. So we're going to link in these little buttons here so that it'll automatically take them to our sub page. That just makes the navigation just a little bit easier. So here's how we do that. We let's see, we're on the resources page and we are on the build tab. So all you have to do is find where it says button. You click and drag. Button text. I prefer it to be centered in the middle, but what you'll do is you'll click on button text to change the words. So we need it to say S7L1 classification. We want it to match our sub page. So you just do that. You don't have to save anything here, and you click the back arrow. Now what we need to do to link it to our page is click link. You'll need to click standard page, and then you can choose. It shows all of your pages here, so you'll need to choose which one you want it to link to, and of course you'll just match it to S7L1 classification. I prefer open in a new window, so that way they don't lose their other page. So I always click open in a new window, and then you just click out of it and it has saved that for you. So you'll do the same thing for the rest of them. You'll click and drag your button and I did that quickly. You'll need to line it up underneath the S7L1. So again, you click here. I like to center button text S7L2 is my cells. We'll go to button link, standard page, and then you choose from your list here. Open in a new window, and then you just click out of it. Now do that same thing for all of them to save time for the video. I won't go through those with you, but it is the same process. Now don't forget, when you finish with anything on your website, in order for it to be published, as in when someone goes to your website, you need to make sure that you click this orange publish tab. Now if you do not click this orange publish tab, your changes will be saved, but they won't be published on your site. So if you go in here, you'll see it, but if I go into your site based on your URL, I will not be able to see those changes. So just make sure that you click publish here. And this concludes our pages and subpages and sub-subpages tutorial video.